Hey YouTube family, it's Kim, the princess of transparency. So I've been gone for a while. I've been dealing with a real serious illness, but I wanted to do a quick video on church hurt. So most of the people who know me know that I've been battling the last few weeks between with lupus and now rheumatoid arthritis. And now it's gotten so serious that I'm on chemotherapy and I am taking up to 15 pills a day. But I'm doing all that in a separate video. But today's video is entitled Church Hurt. So, because I've been so sick from the chemotherapy, I've basically been able to really get out the house beyond trying to go to work, which I really have not been able to do. So, today was the first day that I felt like I had enough energy to get up and go out and worship and fellowship. So, I went to church, got there late, decided to sit in the back of the church with me and the kids. And once service was over, the pastor and the pastor and the other reverends and ministers would normally, stay in the back to greet and fellowship. So normally when I go out in public, because my immune system is so compromised, and basically at this point I'm on so many medications to suppress my immune system, that I have to wear a surgical mask going out. And it's not to protect against or to make anybody else sick because I'm not sick. But it's to protect myself from anybody else's germs. At this point, people are more detrimental to me than I am to them. So I'm wearing my mask and I go up to the pastor and the reverends in the line. And normally one of the other, reverends who I normally would talk to on a regular basis, I went to speak to her and she just backed off of me like I was just a complete leper. And I was like, wow. And I'm like, I had to defend myself and almost went into tears because through this sickness, I really haven't been able to get out and really communicate with anybody. But I went to her to, get ready to hug her and she backed up off of me and she was like, love you from afar. So I'm like, wow. Okay. And never ask, are you okay? The key questions of compassion, especially in the church, because the church is supposed to be your place of refuge. Psalms 46 says that God is your refuge, in times of trouble. And it was like, wow, I actually almost broke down in tears. And the co-reverend of the church, he turned around and he hugged me. He actually hugged me. Never asked what was wrong. He just gave me a hug. He said, hey, how you doing, sis? And gave me a hug. And as I was trying to explain to her while, I'm wearing the surgical mask, I said, I've been going through chemo the last 3 weeks. And he hugged me even tighter. And he made sure to surround me with prayer. And while this reverend of the church, this other reverend of the church sat there and looked stuck, I was kind of in my feelings. It's like I couldn't even hear what they were praying over me for because I just felt so rejected, from the church that's supposed to love me. They're supposed to represent God and who he is, because God is love. I felt so rejected in that moment because, like I said, with me being so sick, I don't have the opportunity to get out and fellowship or be with other people because of my compromised immune system. So it really made you feel some kind of way. So it's like, for you to want people to come to your church and fellowship with you, you can't meet them with an attitude of rejection. Because how many people have stood up here and said, you know what? I don't want your church. I don't want your God, based off of one experience. And my sister always tells me that having a relationship with God is personal. And I'm so glad that I am strong enough to know who God is within me and within my life. That had this been some other person who didn't understand who God is and where God is within their life, I could really feel sorry for them. But I honestly feel sorry for this reverend because, how can you sit here and say that you are a person of God when you're rejecting the people of God who need you the most? Going through, anybody who's been sick, even with a cold, you feel bad. But when you're going through chemotherapy and you at days just feel like giving up, and I can honestly say for myself, there have been so many days that I've questioned God, why me? and I felt so alone in this battle. It's like, who do I turn to? And the first person or the first people that you want to turn to is your church, because you want to be uplifted and to know how you're going to persevere through one of the hardest times of your life. But when you basically get met with rejection and feel like, okay, I did something wrong, it kind of throws you off. So, people of the church, please understand. I understand people have their own attitudes. Yeah, you don't want to get sick, but when you go to those hospitals and those hospices, to meet these people, you meet the people, not the disease. So get it out of your mind of prejudging a person by their cover, what you see, because you never know, one, if you're going to meet that person the next day, because today or tomorrow are not guaranteed to anybody. But to leave that kind of experience on somebody is the most devastating thing that you could ever do to them. If I hadn't been a stronger person, what if I went home and swallowed a ball of pills? What if I went home and and been, or driving back and been so devastated in my mind that I had a car crash and something had happened, not just to me but somebody else? You need to build people up, not tear them down. And that little bit of church hurt, although it stung me and it still hurts, it could have devastated the mess out of somebody else. So be careful about your words. Be intentional about what you do, especially when you have a position of leadership within the church, because that little bit of, even if it's as a joke, somebody could take it so serious. And anybody who knows me knows I'm a very sensitive person. I mean, even with what I'm going through right now, I beg for hugs. I beg for that physical support, even though it hurts me to be touched because of all the medication that I'm taking, all the pain that I'm feeling physically. I need that. I mean, even just for somebody to hold my hand through this. But when you are in a position to hurt somebody else with your words, and even when it comes to a position of authority, be careful, because God doesn't like ugly, and karma comes back. So I'm saying all this to say, when you meet somebody based off of what you think that they're going through, find out the details of what they're really going through before you judge them. Because when you judge a book by its cover, you're misreading and misinterpreting what God has purposed in that moment. So know that I love you, know that it's intentional, and know that God has you no matter what. So stay encouraged. Even when things look bleak, you just got to believe.